Martin and Severe Weather Authority meteorologist John DeLucid.
Former President Donald Trump is once again at the center of the political universe after being charged with 34 felonies. Prosecutors allege the former president violated election laws and falsified business records to keep quiet an alleged affair. Joining us now live tonight is Ole Miss Distinguished Professor of Law, Ron Reichlich. Thanks so much for joining us live in this 9 o'clock hour.
Happy to be here, Alyssa.
Okay, just to start out, obviously this is a big story continuing to top news headlines. Talk a little bit about how you think those who support the former president lean. Of course, they lean on the more conservative side here in Mississippi, how they might view this indictment, given the nature of these charges, dealing with that accusation of an alleged extramarital affair.
Right. Well, the polls I've looked at, it's all that you can really tell about this, seems to me to sort of firm up his support. I think the people who are true blue Donald Trump supporters feel he's being unfairly attacked, and within the Republican circle, I think he's increased his lead over DeSantis. I'm not sure that's going to carry over in a broader electorate in the national election, how that's going to play out, because I think a lot of people are going to be upset, particularly if the charges play out and end up in a conviction.
And talking about those charges, what are some of the weaknesses and some of the strengths you see in the case against the former president?
Well, I was really surprised when I looked at the indictment. It's 34 counts, but the indictment itself is only 17 pages, and it seems to be over and over and over false statements, false records. Some of them, many of them, seem to be internal within bookkeeping matters within Trump's financial records. And the allegations are that he was falsifying these records, and that's a misdemeanor in New York, but he was doing it in order to cover up a larger crime, which was not prosecuted by the feds or the Federal Election Commission. But then that elevates it to a minor felony in New York. It's a fairly convoluted effort by a prosecutor who, in essence, promised to convict Donald Trump if he got the position, which he did get, and he's trying to follow through on a campaign promise now, I guess.
That is exactly what we seem to be seeing play out. And obviously, one thing is for certain, it's getting a lot of people talking about the case. You mentioned the polls, and that's one thing that, we've been looking at as this kind of continues to play out. So talk for a minute about what kinds of impacts you think these types of cases that do involve some personal details of someone's life, what they could have on a defendant and the public's perception of that person. Of course, in this case, we're talking about former President Trump, even though a lot of these accusations and allegations were first talked about in 2016.
Right, yeah, it's fun. We're looking back a pretty long time on these things. Allegations that are brought up like this, I do think we run the risk of scaring good people out of politics and out of position of power if they think that all of their dirty laundry across their life is going to be brought out and subject to scrutiny. And I think if somebody's done something really bad, we should know about it and make sure that we keep the government as fair and honest as can be. But at the same time, I'm not sure every fault that's ever happened. One of the things, frankly, that concerns me here, it seems to be that Trump's attorneys who are under an obligation not to go against their client are offering evidence against their clients. So there's a lot of stuff here that's really most unusual, and it's a little bit frightening when you think in terms of how you when you hear about a sitting government prosecuting someone who's challenging the president, or it sounds a little third worldish or dictatorish.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't seem like anything we thought we would ever be talking about here, but nonetheless, here we are, and everyone is definitely talking about this. No matter which side of the aisle you fall on, it was top headlines this week and will continue to be so. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to give us some of your insight, your perspective, especially from your professional law side of things, and sort of help us understand it more in, people terms.
Thank you, Alyssa. I've enjoyed it.
All right. Thanks so much. We will talk with you again, I'm sure. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.